Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time, as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to look at my top 10 Nintendo Entertainment System video games. This is one I have probably one of the least experience with of the consoles that I own and have played a lot. This one was before my time. Technically so was the Super Nintendo, but that's one I grew up playing before I got a Nintendo 64. So I mostly missed the NES era for a while. I've revisited a lot of the games since then. I have the NES Classic. I've played a lot of games and I've enjoyed a lot of games on the console. So I want to get into my favorite games on this list. Some disclaimers here: you will not see Mario 2, The Lost Levels, you won't see Zelda 2, you won't see any Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, because I didn't play them. I didn't play the Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy games, and I did play Zelda 2 and Mario 2, but I don't like either of those games very much, or not enough to put them on this list at least. So they will be omitted from this list, but there will be a lot of Mario, so expect that. Let's start off with number 10, with Snake, Rattle, and Roll. This is an interesting game that actually recently came to the Switch online library, and I remember distinctly playing this game and thinking it was so wacky and weird. This is a game by Rare, actually, one of their early games on any console, and it's pretty cool. You have like a isometric platformer type thing where your whole goal is to grow the snake and make him just bigger and bigger, kind of like the two-dimensional top-down Snake game, but in like a 3D plane. Again, on the Nintendo Entertainment System, that's pretty cool technology. It's a really unique game. It's got a lot of charm. It's a lot of fun, and I remember it very fondly. And you can go play it right now on the Nintendo Entertainment System on Switch Online. So that's going to be number 10. Number 9 is going to be Battletoads. This game is ridiculously difficult. Another Rare game, funny enough, two on this list. Another Rare game that is so brutally hard that I've actually never beaten this one. I've beaten some of the sequels like Battletoads and Double Dragon, but I have yet to beat the original Battletoads. I visited my brother last year sometime, and we played this for the first time in a very long time in multiplayer. It is so brutally difficult. We only got past the first couple levels. What makes it even more difficult is multiplayer doesn't even make it easier, because you can still damage your so much friendly fire. You can still damage the person you're playing with. So it's really easy to die already, and then if you add in the friendly fire, you could just kill your teammate really quickly. It's brutally difficult, but it's a lot of fun too, and this kind of established this brutally tough as nails, like beat 'em up side-scrolling gameplay, and it's really, really fun. I love the Battletoads series. I'm glad that it got a reboot not super long ago. Glad to see it still going strong today. Number 8 is going to be Ninja Gaiden. This is a game I didn't play until it actually came to the Nintendo Switch Online, and since I was familiar with some of the newer games, the 3D ones specifically, I thought it'd be really fun to go back and visit this game from Tecmo, and my goodness, it's so hard. Part of what makes it so difficult is the precision that you have to have in taking down these enemies. Some of the attack patterns really mess with you. You have to know exactly when to retreat, when to advance, when to jump, when to swing, when to use your special abilities. It is really ridiculously hard. Some of the platforming can be really brutal too. If you miss a jump, you could just die or lose a lot of health, and that makes for a really punishing experience. But it's a ton of fun too. It has a great story, and especially for the Nintendo Entertainment System, it's a lot of fun, one that I would recommend going and visit if you like the really tough as nails platformers from the day. Number 7 is going to be Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. This is easily the best Castlevania game on the Nintendo Entertainment System. It takes a lot of what made the first game so fantastic. The second was more of a deviation, got back to what the first game was, and then expanded on it in a major way, like a lot of threequels did actually, like Link to the Past. Now, funny enough, now that I'm thinking about it, and like Super Metroid. But Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse introduced multiple playable characters. You play as Trevor Belmont in this one, a descendant of Simon. You have like the introduction of Alucard and some other mainstays in the series, and some of these characters you might not even find depending on the choices that you make. This is like a story-driven, choice-driven game, which is really interesting for the time. Again, back with the technical limitations of the Nintendo Entertainment System, you have a lot of depth in this game. Makes it definitely one of the most replayable Castlevania games as well, and it's incredibly, incredibly fun, and also way more punishing than the games that came before it, which makes it even more enjoyable today. Number 6 is going to be the original Super Mario Brothers. Now, I talked about this game on my channel. I gave it a platinum rank, talked about how this is a perfect evergreen experience, and I stand by that. Super Mario Bros. Still stands out as one of the best platformers of all time. Nintendo came out the gate swinging, and they did so in spectacular fashion. This game is still fun to play to this day. Between all the secrets and the great level design, this one is still highly recommendable. If you want to get my full thoughts on that, go check out my review after this this video is done. Number 5 is going to be Punch-Out! Now, I had trouble if I was going to have Mario here or at number 6, but I ultimately decided that I just really love Punch-Out! It's a ton of fun. It's incredibly difficult. This is another game that took me a very long time to actually beat. I remember playing it as a kid and getting so frustrated, but knowing some of the secrets to some of the bosses that you could fight. I guess bosses, some of the fights that you have. I remember, like, my brother, I went over to my uncle's house and he was showing us how to do like a certain fight where the guy like spins around in a circle and hits. I can't remember all the names, but it was really cool watching him utilize the block button, utilize when to dodge. This game is fairly intricate. Again, for like a pseudo fighting game back in the day, this game has a lot of depth, and the fights can be incredibly brutal. Getting to Mike Tyson is a really hard thing to do in general, but beating Mike Tyson is nearly impossible unless you really know how to play the final fight. I've yet to beat Mike Tyson, but I have beaten the main game, and it is supremely fun even to this day. Another one that you can access with Nintendo Switch Online, so go check it out if you're interested. Number 4 is going to be Mario 2, and this is the US version, the one that's a kind of a reskin of another game. I love this game. I think it is overflowing with charm. I love that they introduce some like unique aspects to each character as well, giving Luigi the little flutter jump, making Peach give her the float. These are like central mechanics to their Smash kit, which is really cool. I like that it has so much personality, that has a lot of weird enemies in the game because this wasn't originally a Mario game. I like the boss fights. I think they're really engaging and interesting. I just really love Mario 2. I think it's a great platformer, and I think the Mario characters really work in this universe. I like that it's wacky and different and that they don't feel like they belong. It makes the game feel a little more interesting as well. I really love Mario 2. Number 3 is going to be Metroid. Now, I love the Metroid franchise. I've made no allusion to anything otherwise. I ranked all the mainline series on this channel. I love the Metroid series, and this is the one that started it all. And they did a really phenomenal job. This is one of the first games where you could go left or right to progress the story, which was ingenious. You would instinctively go to the right and you'd miss a lot of stuff right out the gate from the very first starting screen. There's tons of great combat in here. The boss design is phenomenal. They really built a beautiful world, and having Samus be a woman in this game as the protagonist was like revolutionary. When people finally found out that was the case, it was like a bombshell of a story. It was crazy, and I love that Samus is one of the most powerful heroines in all of gaming history, and I love that she started on the NES. It's really cool. Metroid is a great starting point. I love that they remade it for the Zero Mission. I hope that gets some kind of like port over to the Switch at some point, or like a full-blown remake. That would be fantastic. But the original Metroid still stands as one of the best NES titles to this day. Number 2 is going to be The Legend of Zelda. Now, I love the Zelda series. Zelda 2 is the most difficult by far and the most punishing. It's not the most like beautiful story or anything. I don't love replaying that one. That one's probably one I'm never going to replay again unless I absolutely have to. But the original Zelda is incredibly replayable and so much fun. It's also really difficult, mostly because you have to really experiment with the overworld map to try and find some of the dungeons. There are some things that you absolutely wouldn't find by yourself unless you're just planting bombs randomly. They don't give you certain places don't give you like a full indication of where you need to go, but there's a lot of context clues throughout the world. The quests that you go on help you get items that will give you insight on how to complete dungeons. It's really beautiful how they nailed the Zelda dungeon design here in this game. This was really the establishment of the dungeon design, a dungeon mechanic in the Zelda games. And I really hope that it makes a return soon, because as much as I love open world Zelda games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the dungeon design is what makes the series so strong. And they really established it here. Legend of Zelda is still fun to go back and play today. You can play it on the Zelda Game & Watch, on the NES Online. You can play it on the NES Classic, I believe. I'm pretty sure. I can't imagine they left that one off. I didn't play on that one. That's why I don't really remember off the top of my head. This one is still incredibly recommendable to this day. It's more difficult, but if you have a guide, you can absolutely beat this game, and it's definitely well worth your time. And number 1 is going to be, probably to not many people's surprise, Super Mario Bros. 3. This is the best Mario game on the NES, in my opinion, and I think in most people's opinion. This is the best 2D Mario game, unless you have Super Mario World at the top, but definitely for the NES, this is the best video video game on the console by far. You have the best level design in the series up to this point. You have like brand new power-ups, great sprite design. The worlds are really beautiful. The idea that this is like a play that they're putting on is really cool. The secrets that you could have, like going behind the white square bricks that you have in one of the early levels, is really cool, and going behind the curtain. Stuff like this makes the Mario so fantastic. The secrets and the lore behind it and everything is what makes Mario so beautiful. And again, the level design is perfect. The boss fights are really fun. They're unique. They're different this time around. You have different boss fights, not just fighting Bowser every time. And it's really cool. I love Mario 3. I want to go revisit this one soon because I haven't played it in quite a while, but I still have fond memories. This is my brother's favorite Mario game, and I can see why. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.